All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? It's Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist, and it is Thursday, October 23rd. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're having an amazing day. I just woke up from my midday nap. It's one thing you learn when you hit your 40s is that you need a midday nap. You need to lay down and recharge and try to quiet the screaming voices in your head. And midday nap on the couch with a fan in your face, peaceful music in the background. It's a wonderful thing. There's a lot going on. It's been a active day already, which is great. Today we're going to be talking about the 1-2-3 method of getting a bunch of media interviews. I'm going to be showing you guys how to get media interviews for your business. And this will be applicable to any industry, whether you're a coach or an entrepreneur or a business owner, or you sell tactical Beagle vests, or whatever it is, or you're trying to pawn off those god-awful Alex Hormozi books. Whatever your business is, today's going to help you to get more media interviews. Before we get started, let's give a shout-out to our sponsor, Bad Boy Eats. If you guys are hot sauce fans, you're going to want to listen up. Bad Boy Eats, created by Sean Kanan of Cobra Kai, is one of the most spectacular hot sauces I've ever had. Comes in 3 flavors. This is red pepper punch. This is for your mellow, kind of low-key dishes. You just want some spice and flavor. There's also Mango Madness, which is like a sweet, tangy yellow sauce, best paired with like pineapple and fish and pork. And then you've got the one that can barely be named, Cobra Venom, Carolina Reapers. You can get them at badboyeats.com. They're about $12 a bottle. They are spectacular. You can pick up a cool shirt if you want, but badboyeats.com, truly my favorite hot sauce I've ever had. They don't taste like vinegar, like Cholula or, Tabasco or in those goofy sauces. If you're a hot sauce fan, you want to check this out. badboyeats.com, 3 flavors. If you like spice and your lips tingling quite a bit, get the Cobra Venom. If you just like a regular like hot sauce you can add to like burgers or steaks, go for red pepper punch. If you want something that goes well with like a sweeter tang, like stir fries, or I use it with pork, anything with pineapple, usually Asian dishes that I cook, I go for Mango Madness. So it's up to you guys. But yeah, go for badboyeats.com. I've really enjoyed using their products, and also, they make really cool t-shirts. And Sean Kanan does a lot for the veteran community, so he's a good guy to support. All right. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about the 1-2-3 method of getting media interviews for your business. In my career, I've had over 255 media interviews, and I've always used the same way to do this. And this is why I got into PR, why I got into visibility strategies. Everybody benefits from media interviews. They add credibility. They make you searchable on Google. They draw in leads. They get more traffic to your website. There's so many advantages. And a lot of people just don't know how to package themselves, and they don't know exactly like how to get the process started. A lot of you have amazing stories to share, or you've got a cool like concept for your business, and you're like, dude, I want to get on TV. I want to like be in newspapers. I want to be on podcasts. What do I do? Like, where do I even start? So I'm going to tell you a very short story, and then I'm going to break down like how I use the 1-2-3 method to get my clients all kinds of interviews. A garage owner in Texas named Ted Fox. He owns Scooter's Garage, and he fixes up classic Pontiacs. He restores cars, but he's a mechanic at heart, loves cars. We reached out. We made him a database. We picked an angle. I just said that backwards. I'm so sorry. We picked an angle. We made a database, and then we reached out. And that's the 1-2-3, pretty much. And today, a very large automotive website called The Drive ended up featuring his company. They did an enormous article on him because what he did was he took a Pontiac 301 engine. He 3D printed a bunch of parts. He made some polymer modifications as well, used some different materials, tripled the horsepower. And so the Drive featured him today. They put him on their Facebook. And the article itself is incredible. If you go to thedrive.com, you're going to look up Ted Fox and you'll see his article. It's incredible. He reached out today. I was looking at it. I was like, holy shit, this worked. Ted has gone viral on Newsbreak. And then last week, and this is the importance of picking a good angle. Last week, I wrote up on medium.com this project about the Pontiac 301. And Reddit broke 125,000 views about this particular project. So the first thing you want to do is you want to start looking at your angle. And you can't just reach out to people and say, hey, you should interview me. You know, I own a business, blah, blah, blah. You've got to think about what you bring to the table. Okay. Anybody worth their salt that's a journalist, a reporter, a blogger, a TV producer, a podcaster, you know, any of these people that conduct interviews regularly, my case, magazine owner, they're always looking for the angle and they're always looking for something that their readers or listeners will really appreciate that is unique in nature. Okay. So, understand that you have to start thinking about how to be more interesting, and you have to think about what would make you interviewable. And this is what I do for clients. I look at them and I have a criteria of like 8 different things. And I say, which would they fit under? And how can we package them? How can we take them and create this amazing pitch around this angle, send it to them, see what we get. So that's the first thing, is figuring out your angle. And I'm going to give you guys a couple of free ones. So as you guys know, if you're in San Diego, go downtown tonight and I'll be a guest speaker at the Marketing Mastery Summit, conducted by James Hickey. Super excited about it. I'm going to be speaking on going from expert to highly visible industry celebrity, teaching some of the tenets about how I got 255 media interviews. And I'd love to see you guys there. It's at 1100 Market Street in the East Village. It starts at 4 o'clock, 2 hours from now, runs till 8. So it's not super long, but there's a bunch of guest speakers. Jim Lutz, Craig Nolan, Sarah Rathsack, and Dr. Shyla Day. I'm super excited to hear her speak because she's amazing. I'm actually in a really good spot. I am next to last, which is great. Dr. Shyla Day is the final speaker because she's going to bring the heat. I love her work. I love what she does. I met her once. She has really good energy. James will say a couple words. Craig Nolan will probably be talking about virtual assistant stuff, but it's going to be a good lineup. So if you guys are in San Diego, pop in, check this out tonight. I haven't spoken in a while. Got a full presentation ready to go. I might even wear a suit. Who knows? Okay. So understand that if you want to get on TV or you want to get a bunch of interviews, like I said, first thing is that you have to figure out your angle, like what makes you interesting. There are probably about 8 or 9 good angle frameworks that I use when I'm pitching a client. And the most common ones are, we'll start with mine. Life experience. So if something good or something bad happened to you and you want to talk about it, that should be written up as your pitch. If it was something that was really out of the ordinary, kind of crazy. If you're a victim of a crime and you're not traumatized and you're okay, you know, talking about details and stuff. I know that not all of us want to talk about personal details about stuff all the time. But if it's something that you're okay talking about, package that up, talk about the details, talk about the impact it had on you, good or bad. You know, you could be like that guy that won the Powerball, you know, won $2 billion. I think his name's Edwin Castro. He had a good life experience, right? He got all kinds of coverage. So life experience that's unusual is a really good media angle. My own story, I failed out of high school. I failed out of 2 colleges. I ended up becoming a 6th-degree PhD. That alone got me 255 media interviews, if not more. I figured out my learning style. I really got into speed learning. It means autodidactic learning, where you just teach yourself stuff and you learn things at a much rapider rate, even if your learning curve is different from the use of like diagrams and colors and shit. I even wrote a book about it. I taught myself how to publish books. I taught myself how to make a magazine. I taught myself how to do PR, all this stuff, right? Self-learning. But the point is, those techniques helped me to go from point A to point B. That was my life experience. And that's why I got all these media interviews, because all these podcasters and reporters and everybody wanted to know, dude, how did you go from like living in a cockroach infested 1-bedroom apartment, moving 16 times in your childhood, failing out of high school, never taking your SATs, and becoming a PhD? Like how do you make that jump? That's insane. You should be dead or in jail. And that's the basis of the interviews, is my life experience. And I just talk about the changes I had to make, the mindset changes, the attitude, getting rid of victim mentality, the importance of like physical fitness and mental strength and reading the right books and getting mentors, all this different shit. But the point is, that was my life experience that got me all these interviews, sharing something that happened to me that was unusual. Other angles that you can put forth for yourself are, you did an achievement. So maybe you started a company, maybe you wrote a book, maybe you raised like 5 foster kids. These are all achievements. If you have an interesting achievement, something that's a little unusual, you started a company that fosters Rottweilers, whatever. All these things can be packaged into a news angle. Okay. Speaking of packaged into a news angle, live demo is also something. So let's say Heather Hilton is a good dancer or a martial artist, just using my friend who's watching this on Facebook. She could come into the studio and give a demonstration, and right there, like in front of everybody, in front of the camera, get stuff going. And so I have some technical difficulties here. Stand by 1 sec. There we go. All right. Live demo is a good one. Live demo is very important because you have to perform it. So if you bring a bunch of dogs, you can dance bachata, you can do a martial arts demonstration, you do skateboarding, you do some magic, whatever. Those are examples of live demos, just things you can do in front of the camera live. Another angle is consumer protection. I got somebody on Fox News because they were the victim of an elder scam. Somebody pretended to be the sheriff and tried to get them to use a Bitcoin machine to pay off a fake warrant. And I pitched a reporter, and they said, yeah, that's a consumer scam involving the elderly, so let's run this story. Let's see, what else? Achievement, results, life experience, live demo. And one of the other ones is subject matter expert. So if you're known, if you're DM Randolph or Mina Hernandez and you're a subject matter expert at something, you can come on, pitch an angle, and have 3 talking points about whatever it is that you're an expert at. It's important that you let them know, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what the segment's going to be about. This is the approach I'm going to bring. This is the opinion I'm going to have. My friend Kate Monroe has been on Fox a whole bunch of times, and they bring her out because she can always give, like, she was a former Marine Intel enlisted specialist, and she can always give opinions on the Middle East. She can always give opinions in politics. She ran for Congress. But she can come out as a subject matter expert because these are things that she has experienced in her life and has a lot of experience and knowledge talking about. And so if you're an expert on something, because getting to studio and presenting yourself as a subject matter expert is a great angle. Anything that ties into current events. So if you have some kind of opinion, you have some kind of skill set that ties in, or a background in a certain current event that's happening right now, good chance you can get an interview. Okay. So anyway, that's enough about angles. So when we talk about 1, 2, 3, picking the angle is number one. Number two is the actual database. So you have to know where you're gonna try and appear on, and you have a lot of options. You can try for local news. You can try for national news. A little harder. You can try for newspapers, magazines, industry-specific media. So, for example, the guy I was talking about earlier, Ted, we did a push specifically for car stuff, performance stuff, media that involves engine rebuilding, things like that. And that's why we got this giant article for him. So that's an example of an industry-specific media platform. You have a lot of options out there. It depends on what you want to do. Some people want to appear in studio and be on TV. Other people want to be written about in articles. And some people just, if you're not super comfortable being live on camera, do podcasts. You can get an unlimited amount of podcast interviews without a lot of effort. And this is why. Because there's so many, the barrier to entry is so low for podcasts that there's new ones popping up every single day. And it's not hard to find them. All you have to do is go on Facebook or LinkedIn, type in the word podcast in the search engine, and they'll all populate. And all you have to do is reach out with your angle. Like, hey, what's up? I want to talk about my tactical Beagle vests. I'll come in. I'll discuss 3 different key points about tactical Beagle vests and why I started this company. Let's talk. Blah blah blah. There you go. There's your interview. Creating a database is important of where you want to be interviewed. ChatGPT can help you with that. So harness the power of AI and get ChatGPT to create you a media database with contact info. I've done this with my clients numerous times to create a niche specific database. And then the third leg of the 1, 2, 3 method is the actual pitching. So you've decided on your angle. You've got your database. You know what you're going to talk about. You know where you're going to send it. Now you got to figure out how to craft the pitch to go out to them. Can you make one media pitch for all these places? Yes. Yes, you can. It'll save you a lot of trouble. It is perfectly okay to create a media pitch and send it to every single news station in town. The only things you have to look out for is if your pitch contains the word listener or viewer, tailor it so that it's correct. If you're sending it to TV stations, and this is important, guys, pay attention. This is the foot stomping moment where people mess up. If you're pitching a TV station, you're going to refer to their audience as viewers. If you're pitching a newspaper or a magazine, you're going to refer to their audience as readers. There's viewers, there's readers, and then if you're pitching a podcast, it's listeners. By doing this small thing, you can show that you're paying attention. You do not want to mess up and pitch a podcast and say, hey, your readers are going to love this. Because I don't have readers. Understanding the medium and then the verbiage for the audience is a big deal. No matter who you're pitching and what their platform is, you always want to be thinking in the back of your head, what's the value to audience? That's the inherent phrase that I think about in the back of my head. What is the value to audience? And then once your pitch is ready, I'll give you guys a couple of tips about how to write a pitch, and then we will end this. I really appreciate everybody popping in. Bobby Radka, Monica Peterson, all these cool people, Dory, Heather Hilton. But I'll give you some tips on writing your pitch. And honestly, ChatGPT can do it for you. A good pitch, good media pitch is brief. Brevity is a big deal. You don't want to tell them your life story. if you're writing a generic catch-all pitch that you can send out to podcasters, reporters, TV shows, newspapers, blah, 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 business reporters, your pitch should be the story segment in the email header, like story idea, blah, 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 or podcast, segment idea, blah, 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 and get right to it. Introduction, like a personal introduction with the person's name on it. And then, I'd like to apply. I'd like to see if you'd be interested in an interviewing me about blah, blah, blah. I would talk about these key points, and you should always have 3 key talking points that you'll discuss. And then 1 or 2 sentences about you, your contact info, your socials, and then 2 links, either press releases that have been issued about you or a link to a previous interview where you've been featured somewhere else. And then your contact info underneath with like your email, your phone number, and then 1 or 2 good headshots. If they're photos of you like in your industry, even better. So when I'm pitching people for an interview, I'm usually like on stage or in a suit or some shit. No more, no less. Like that's plenty of proof. 1 or 2 accolades is okay as well. I had a complete stranger, reach out to me on Facebook, and we were talking about he wanted coverage in Shift Magazine. Read it free at shiftlifedesign.com. It's my magazine. He wanted free coverage, and he sent me this really long Facebook Messenger biography of himself, and he bragged on himself for like 15 sentences, and I couldn't say no fast enough because he went about the wrong approach. He was being lazy, and he made no attempt to connect with me. He made no attempt to have a conversation. He flat out just tried to get free coverage out of me with a really shitty canned pitch. And I really enjoyed bursting his bubble and saying no. Your pitch should be meaningful. And you have to remember, if you're approaching somebody and want media coverage, your goal, believe it or not, is not an interview for yourself. It's value to audience. Yes, Heather, value to audience. So that's how you have to approach it. What's the audience going to take away? What are they going to learn from? So if you do have all these accolades and you've done some cool shit, put in a sentence or 2. Don't be like this asshat and like, long ass paragraph. Oh, I've been on this guy's stage and I've won all these awards and I'm a 7-figure blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's awesome. Guess what? You're not going to be in Shift Magazine. Why? Because you are completely about yourself and honestly don't like your approach there, Chief. So anyway, that's the 1, 2, 3 approach for getting as many media interviews as you want for your business. Develop your angle, figure out your database, and then craft your pitch, and then start sending it out. And you'll start getting interviews. There's no magic to it. I've gotten 39 people on TV. I've gotten over 255 media interviews, but there really isn't any particular like difficulty to any of this stuff. I'm completely self-taught. I didn't get a PR degree. I never worked in industry for an agency. I literally read 3 books and then just got in the trenches and started applying and writing pitches and contacting people and creating my database. And over time, like people just, my story was so compelling to a lot of podcasters that's what put me on the map in the early days. I'm sure Louise Heathco has a compelling story, or Mike Wade or Monica Patterson or Heather Hilton. All you guys have an incredible story. So start thinking about how to tell it properly, how to, never lie, but you can definitely augment. You can definitely bring out the best components of that story, little details that make it important, supporting photos, things like that. All right. That's all I got. I have to start getting ready for the event that I'm speaking at tonight. So just a reminder, if you guys are in is all I have for today. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist, and as always, stay famous. See you next time.